How do you feel about mental health today in respect to men specifically?
Oh, like what you were saying too a minute ago, like talking to your dad, and it's like, oh, just suck it up, you're just sad. There's that whole man up era, and it's like you have to man up and do this, and it's like, yeah, to a point, but you can still be emotional, you can still be vulnerable, you can still talk about your emotions, and it's like you can be with like a couple of guys and they can boost you up. It's like, oh man, we can definitely do this, and there's nothing wrong with that, to have like those types of conversations. You can talk about sports, you can talk about women, men, and you can still talk about your feelings, and it's you need to find that safe space. But yeah, it is funny when it comes to men and mental health, and it's like that's the key word in mental health is men. It's like one of the words in it. It's a combo, and it's like it's just super interesting that that's how it is. But I think the stigma is getting broken more and more with the conversations and people like you guys having a platform like this. So it's awesome.
The thing I found out is like as long as you don't use the keywords like depression or like bipolar. Like if I'm talking to my dad, I'm like, hey dad, I'm having a rough time and I just need to talk to you. Like he'll give me an ear. But if I'm like, I think I'm depressed, and he's like, hey, that's just sadness, and you just want to squeeze the bell out of work. But yeah, so it's like, and also like I have like a couple like friends that's like, whenever I'm feeling like down in a rut, I know like, I think our friends are like the best therapists.
Oh yeah,
cost effective,
very cost effective. A good inner circle is what you need.
I don't know if it's personal, but right now you're currently like in a therapy.
Yeah, no, you can ask me all the personal questions that you want. I'm currently in therapy. Funny enough, I just had my therapy session right before this. That's why I was kind of running a little bit late. And it's good. I think everyone should at least try to get therapy. It's not easy, even if it's like once a year. I know I was listening to Howard Stern, and he was saying that he goes to therapy once a year. And I think that's kind of cool in a way because you can just unleash everything. Because you don't have – it's somebody that doesn't have a dog in the fight. They're just on the outside, and they're just listening. Like they're not like someone like a friend that can give a biased opinion on something. Like you give them everything that you want, and it's tough to open up at times because you're like, I don't want to be judged, but it's someone that doesn't judge you. That's like their job is. But it's funny because you play that game with a therapist, and you're like, should I tell them how crazy I feel right now, or should I hold back? And that's always the struggle. But once you build that relationship, like I've had a therapist that ended up having to leave and go to a practice, which crushed me. Like I had a therapist I was with for like a year and a half that helped me get through my depression, and she left. And then I got a new therapist that didn't work out. And it was very hard to say that therapist doesn't work. And when I called in, it was funny enough, I called in, I was like, I need a new therapist. They're like, did you talk to your therapist about it? I'm like, did I talk to my therapist about my therapist?
It's like
I was like, that doesn't seem right.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna fire you.
Yeah, I was like, this is tough. I'm just the patient here. Yeah. So funny enough, my therapist now is actually the father of my original therapist that ended up leaving. So like I got like the same bloodline of therapists, and it's like I feel like a video game. I got to the next level of like therapy, and it's great.
So like throughout, like for example, like for me, I can. Somewhat relate to like going through like Russ because I have like sessions before, and I can understand like the times where in the first 3 sessions are the worst because you're trying to gauge because like at first you're like I'm normal. Like for example, I have a new physician, and she is wonderful. And she's like I was talking to her, and then I was like, everybody goes to that. It's like no, because I was saying like, hey, sometimes I just don't feel like waking up, and I'm cool with like laying and sleeping all day, and just completely turning off the world, and just be like, I just want to like morph into my bed, and just like that is not normal. And I was like, everybody goes to like rough days. And it was like, no, that's not a rough day. You sound like you've been having a rough month. and so he's like, you probably need to talk to people. I was like, nah, I'm good. And then I had like a session, and I kind of ghost because I was like, well, I was busy, but I was like, it's kind of rough to like open up to someone that is completely like strange, you know, and the whole idea of like being open to someone you don't know, it is rough. And also, like, yeah, and I don't know, like, what everybody's thought on this is. It's like, in therapy, at times, like if you have a couple bad sessions, like, you probably think, like, oh, this is not going to work out for me.
Right.
So, like, what do you say to someone that's in those kind of rut?
First off, with what you said about, like, being in a rut, like, taken down, those are mental health days, and you should take those. When it goes on for, like, weeks on ends, that's probably when you should probably seek help, and she probably wasn't wrong. There's been times I laid in bed for, like, a week, like, not showering and just being super depressed and not wanting to get up. So, yeah, definitely take those mental health days, even if it's work. I think the laws in Massachusetts, they can't really mess with you with mental health issues, so if you call in for a mental health day for sick day, it's the same thing. Like, I'm a huge proponent of, you break your arm, that's one thing too. It's like, if you break your brain and it's not working, you need to take a day off. But yeah, to say to somebody that's in that situation is, you definitely got to give them a chance first, like I did. And if it doesn't work out, don't be afraid to say something to, like, the practice that's there, like whoever's boss it is, and just hang in there for the most part. And give them a chance. I gave my therapist 3 chances because it's a baseball analogy, so, like, she was out. But yeah, I just say definitely, like, stick it out, give them a chance. Everyone's human. They went through college. They worked their butt off just to get that job. So you got to give them some sort of a chance. But don't be upset if it doesn't work out, because you got to keep fighting.
Yeah,
I think one of the stigmas against people calling in for mental health to their boss, looking for a mental health day, is that if you have an injury, they can see it.
Yeah.
But if you're having an anxiety attack or whatever it may be, it may be harder for your boss to be persuaded on whether or not that's